Effective today, most non-immigrant and non-diplomatic visas will now be limited to single entry and valid for just 3 months. The United States Department of State explained that the decision aligns with the Donald Trump administration's reciprocal visa policy, currently affecting several countries, including Nigeria. The U.S. mission in Nigeria clarified that U.S. non-immigrant visas issued before yesterday remain valid and unchanged. It further emphasized that the policy is part of ongoing efforts to safeguard the integrity of the U.S. immigration system. Nigerian travelers are advised to strictly adhere to the terms of their visas and ensure their travel documents are accurate, authentic, and up-to-date. And just hours after the U.S. government announced new visa rules for Nigerian nationals, the United Arab Emirates has followed suit with even tougher restrictions. In a fresh directive to travel agents, Dubai Immigration says Nigerians aged 18 to 45 can no longer apply for tourist visas unless accompanied and transit visa applications have been suspended entirely. For those aged 45 and above, a personal bank statement showing a monthly balance of at least $10,000 over 6 months is now required. This move comes less than a year after the UAE lifted a 2-year visa ban on Nigerians. Both the US and the UAE say the new measures are aimed at tightening monitoring and protecting their immigration systems. Well, let's bring in a law lecturer at the University of Hull, United Kingdom, Mr. Misbah Lateef, for more on this development. Thank you for joining us on the news this hour. Walk us through the reality of what we're looking at. Practically speaking, how does this affect thousands of Nigerians, students, tourists, professionals who depend on frequent U.S. and UAE travel?
Yeah, thank you, Nifemi. Like you rightly said earlier, and as the British, would like to call it, these two coming together at the same time is what I can refer to as a double whammy for Nigeria. I mean, a very disturbing situation coming at the same time. And what this practically means, for example, is that Nigerians will now be largely restricted, from traveling to these two countries. And look at the UAE, for example. There is a total ban on transit visa. And what that practically means is that Nigerians can no longer travel through the UAE to other countries. Remember, the UAE, the Dubai in particular, is a major international, traveling hub to other parts of the world, in Asia, in Middle East, and even many parts of Europe. So a total ban on transit visa effectively means that Nigerian can no longer travel through the UAE. They can no longer stop over in the UAE. And what this means is that many Nigerians may not also be able to travel to some of those countries, as many airlines don't actually fly directly from Nigeria. As for the US, I think that's, for me, is less concerning. I have read the bulletin where the statement says that this is a reciprocal, a retaliation, if you like. And what that typically means is that the Nigerian system, probably offers the US a similar visa offering, a single entry of 3 months. Unfortunately, the Nigerian government has not responded to this, so we would not know exactly what type of visa offering Nigerians, give the US, or if this truly can be regarded as reciprocal. But however you look at it, this is a very bad situation. I mean, for travelers, I would say, not really for Nigeria as a country. I would say travelers.
And it's hard to tell whether Nigeria is specifically being targeted, especially when you consider these new visa bans coming from the UAE. But both countries cite immigration integrity and document authenticity as concerns. What avenues are there for Nigeria to respond or renegotiate?
Well, I think what Nigeria needs to do now, and I will start with the U.S., President Trump, since his second coming, has made it quite clear, the kind of policy he intends to pursue globally nationalism. He has been trying to do as much as he can. His diplomacy has not been exactly clear, and I've described it as erratic, some other quarters. So what Nigeria would do with respect to the US, for example, is perhaps to review our offering and see where there are issues or concern regarding reciprocity, and then they can engage, I would say, more robust in a diplomatic way, with the U.S. Counterpart on how to iron out those concerns. For the UAE, I think what they have done basically is more of a punitive than something you can call a reciprocal. I've gathered, officially, that Nigeria does not have a similar practice with officials or even citizens of the UAE. So, but both ways, what the country needs to do basically is to engage more diplomatically with these two countries and see how Nigerians can get the same treatment that we extend to citizens of these countries. So I would not expect Nigeria, for example, to take the same knee-jerk or erratic diplomatic approach as President Trump, unfortunately, is famously known to take on issues like this.
Is there a sense to which you agree that perhaps this is a clarion call that Nigeria needs to take some harder stance or look at its passport system, its identity verification, or even foreign policy strategy to prevent what many now see as a kind of escalating isolation?
Well, I think that would be, absolutely correct. And if you look at the statement issued by the U.S., the statement does reference, issues with Nigerian documentations and all of that. I think they anchor this on what they call security, national security in quotes, and then concerns regarding, fakery and all of those. Yes, so I think Nigeria needs to strengthen, I would say, the credibility of our documentation. Nigerians who go abroad, who overstay, and the U.S. system, or the release actually says this, that Nigerian has to collaborate with them to ensure that Nigerians who travel as visitors, they don't get to overstay and all of that. But like I said earlier, I think the more focus here should be on how to address what I regard as punitive, from the UAE. Nigeria does not really deserve that. So what the UAE has done practically is to ban Nigerians from coming to the UAE and even traveling through the UAE.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, Mr. Lateef.
My pleasure. Thank you.